Derek Malone thought he owned that gas station on winter nights. Thought he could decide who stayed warm and who froze. His steel-toe boot crushed a cardboard box filled with a child's hope, and he laughed about it. 30 seconds later, that laugh died in his throat, replaced by a terror so complete his knees buckled. Within 3 minutes, he'd be begging. Within 5, he'd realize his job was over. Within 10, he'd understand that some mistakes you can never take back. But to understand why 5 leather-wearing giants made a grown man cry in his own parking lot, we have to go back 15 minutes to when Tyler Brooks was just trying to survive another night. The Detroit winter attacked everything. Snow fell in sheets so thick the streetlights became halos of useless white. 11:47 at night, and the temperature had dropped to 14 degrees. The kind of cold that burned exposed skin and turned breath into clouds of ice. Tyler Brooks stood outside the gas station, his thin body trembling so violently, his teeth chattered in a constant rhythm. His torn green sweater, 3 sizes too big, hung on him like a tent with holes. The duct tape on his sneakers was losing its battle against the wet snow. His small hands, red and chapped, clutched a cardboard box like it was treasure. Inside that box, 12 plastic bags of homemade chocolate chip cookies. His mom had baked them between her double shifts. 25 cents each. If he sold all 12, that was $3. $3 toward the $400 they needed for rent in 5 days. $3 that meant maybe they wouldn't be homeless again. He'd been standing outside for 2 hours. 7 people had passed. Nobody stopped. Nobody even looked. His fingers had gone from painful to numb. He couldn't feel his toes anymore. The gas station door, just 15 feet away, glowed with warmth and light like heaven itself. Tyler made a decision. Just 2 minutes inside to warm up. Just enough to stop shaking. Then he'd go back outside. He pushed through the door, and for exactly 8 seconds, the heat felt like being hugged out. Then Derek Malone looked up from his phone, and the temperature dropped again. Derek saw the kid immediately. Saw the torn sweater, the wet sneakers, the desperate look of poverty. He saw someone who didn't belong in his clean gas station with its bright lights and surveillance cameras recording everything. Someone who might make his real customers uncomfortable. He moved from behind the counter with purpose, his steel-toe boots heavy on the linoleum. He didn't see a child seeking warmth. He saw an inconvenience, a problem with a simple solution. Derek approached Tyler with his chest puffed out, his tattooed arms flexed to look bigger. He started talking in that voice bullies use when they know they have all the power. Loud enough to humiliate, slow enough to make sure everyone heard. He told Tyler that this wasn't a shelter, that loitering wasn't allowed, that kids like him needed to stay outside where they belonged. Tyler tried to explain. Tried to show the cookies, to offer Derek one for free if he'd just let him warm up for a minute. His voice cracked with desperation and cold. But Derek cut him off with a laugh that had no humor in it, only cruelty. Derek grabbed the cardboard box from Tyler's frozen hands, looked inside at the carefully wrapped cookies, each one representing his mother's exhausted effort after 16-hour shifts. And Derek decided to teach this kid a lesson about knowing his place. What Derek didn't see was the security camera above his head, recording every word, every expression. He didn't notice the customer in aisle 3 quietly pulling out their phone. And he absolutely didn't see the 5 motorcycles that had just pulled into the parking lot outside, their riders stretching after a long ride from a veterans charity event. Derek carried Tyler's box to the door and kicked it open with his boot. The wind howled into the warm gas station. Then, with Tyler watching in horror, Derek held the box upside down over a large puddle of dirty slush and shook it. Bags of cookies splashed into the filthy water. 12 packages. Hours of work. $3 of hope. Gone. Derek laughed. Called Tyler trash and said trash belongs outside with Trash Dog. Told him if he saw him near the gas station again, He'd call the cops and have his mother arrested for child neglect. Tyler stood in the doorway, tears freezing on his face, staring at his ruined cookies floating in dirty slush. He had nowhere to go, no way to help his mother, no way to stop what was coming in 5 days when they couldn't make rent. The other customers inside looked away. Nobody moved, nobody spoke. If this breaks your heart, please like and subscribe, because what happens next proves that sometimes heroes wear leather instead of capes. The rumble started low, deep, like distant thunder, but mechanical and growing. 5 chrome Harley-Davidsons pulled into the gas station lot, their engines so loud they shook the windows. Through the falling snow, their headlights looked like the eyes of massive beasts approaching. Tyler, still standing frozen in the doorway, his cookies destroyed at his feet, looked up. 5 men dismounted their bikes in perfect synchronization, each one massive, each one covered in leather and chains, each one wearing a vest that read Iron Kings MC Detroit across the back in letters that looked carved rather than sewn. The lead biker removed his helmet. His face was scarred from decades of hard living. His beard was braided with metal rings. His eyes found Tyler first, then tracked to the destroyed cookies in the puddle. Then slowly, with the patience of a predator, moved to Derek standing in the doorway with his arms crossed, proud of what he'd done. Derek's smile faltered. The bikers spread out in a semicircle, blocking any exit. Their boots, far heavier than Derek's, crunched on the snow-covered concrete as they approached. None of them spoke yet. They didn't need to. Their presence said everything. The lead biker knelt beside Tyler, his massive frame making the small boy look even tinier. He looked at the ruined cookies, then at Tyler's face, reading the whole story in the tears and the terror. He stood back up slowly, his leather creaking, and turned his full attention to Derek. That's when Derek realized he'd made a catastrophic mistake. These weren't random customers. This was the Iron Kings, and anyone from Detroit knew that name. Knew they protected their own. Knew they had a particular hatred for anyone who hurt children. The lead biker, his name was Marcus, spoke in a voice that was calm but carved from granite. He asked Derek to explain what happened. Derek tried to puff up again, tried to claim authority as the night manager, tried to say he was just enforcing store policy. Marcus didn't move, didn't raise his voice. He simply asked Derek to step outside. It wasn't a request, despite the phrasing. It was a command that carried the weight of 5 massive men who decided this conversation was happening whether Derek wanted it or not. Outside in the freezing cold, with snow falling and the wind biting, Marcus made Derek stand in the exact spot where Tyler had been forced to stand. Made him watch as one of the other bikers carefully collected every destroyed cookie bag from the puddle. Made him count them out loud. 12 packages. Then Marcus did something Derek didn't expect. He pulled out a leather wallet, thick with bills, and counted out $300. He handed it to Tyler, whose eyes went so wide they looked like moons. Not as payment for the cookies, as payment for the humiliation, for the cruelty, for the lesson that someone should have taught Derek years ago. Marcus then turned back to Derek, pulled out his phone, and made a call. Derek couldn't hear the conversation, but he saw Marcus's eyes flick to the security camera above the door. Saw him nod. Saw him hang up and smile with that warmth. The gas station's regional manager, Marcus informed Derek, was Marcus's cousin. The security footage had already been sent. Derek's shift was over. Permanently. The 5 bikers didn't threaten Derek. Didn't touch him. They simply escorted him to his car and stood watching as he drove away into the night, his gold chain catching the neon light one last time before disappearing. Marcus and his brotherhood took Tyler to an all-night diner, bought him hot chocolate and the biggest burger on the menu. They called Tyler's mother and explained what happened, then bought every single ingredient she'd need to make 5 times as many cookies. They even bought the cardboard boxes. But more than that, They gave Tyler something Derek had tried to destroy: dignity. The knowledge that when bad people try to break you, sometimes warriors show up to remind you that you matter. Derek Malone that cruelty has consequences. That power is temporary. That the person you hurt today might be protected by someone far stronger than you tomorrow. Tyler Brooks learned that heroes exist. They just sometimes wear leather vests and ride motorcycles. The question isn't whether you'll see injustice. You will. The question is, will you be the person who looks away, or will you be the one who stops? What would you have done?